Hello everyone, my name is Tommy.
I'm Mackenzie.
Took you a second. Welcome back to Backstage Thoughts. Today we are continuing our park guide series. We're going to be talking about EPCOT today. We're going to give you all the information that you need to know before your trip to EPCOT. We're going to talk about attractions, we're going to talk about food, drinks, show times, transportation, etc., etc. Everything that you need to know so that you're prepared to spend the day at EPCOT. So what is EPCOT? What can we expect to see and to do in this park?
So there's two major components to EPCOT. In the front of the park, you have World Celebration, World Nature, and then World Discovery, where most of your attractions are and like the rides. And then in the back of the park, you have the World Showcase, where there's 11 different countries that have pavilions, and there's theming, drinks, food for each of those different countries. EPCOT is open every day from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. with early entry for resort guests from 8:30 to 9, and then on Monday nights they have extended evening hours for deluxe resort guests until 11 p.m. You want to make sure you're checking your My Disney Experience app before you go though, just to see if those times have changed or if they've added different early entry or extended evening hours.
Park hours tend to change seasonally and also just arbitrarily sometimes, so definitely want to double check to see if it's still the same before you go. As far as how to get to and from the park, EPCOT has more transportation options than any of the other Walt Disney World parks. They have, of course, buses to and from all of the Disney resorts and the other parks as well. They have access through the Skyliner. The Skyliner goes to the back of the park. It actually has two entrances. There's an entrance in the front by World Celebration, but there's also an entrance in the World Showcase in the back by, I think, France near France. The Skyliner drops you off at that back entrance, and you can take the Skyliner to and from Hollywood Studios, Caribbean Beach, Riviera, Art of Animation, and Pop Century. EPCOT's also on the monorail line, so if you are going to or from Magic Kingdom, the Transportation and Ticket Center, or any of the three Magic Kingdom monorail resorts, which are the Polynesian, the Grand Floridian, or the Contemporary, the monorail is an option for you. And boats as well. The boats go to and from Hollywood Studios, Swan, Dolphin, Beach Club, Yacht Club, and Boardwalk. And you could also, if you want to walk from those resorts, the Boardwalk especially, I think, is a fairly close walk.
Super easy walk.
Yeah. If you don't feel like taking the boat, you could walk on over, or the bus, or any of your tons of other options. And, of course, if you are not traveling from a Disney resort or another Disney property, if you are driving yourself, there is a parking lot at EPCOT. It's $25 per vehicle to park there. Or you actually have a second parking option. You could also park at the Transportation and Ticket Center and then take the monorail over to EPCOT from there. Usually, it would probably be easier to just park at EPCOT. However, if you plan to park hop to Magic Kingdom later in the day, it can be easier to park at the TTC, and then on the way out, you can, get to your car easier than having to go all the way back to EPCOT to get to your car.
Our first can't miss attraction is Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, which is the newest attraction at EPCOT. And it's unlike something you'll find at any other theme park.
Yeah, if you saw our ranking of Disney World rides that we did, it was actually the first video we did. I'm going to spoil it right now, but this was our number one ride, and there's a reason for that. It is fantastic. As far as taking available technology and pushing it kind of to its limit, it really does that. It is so smooth, it is so fun, it is so cool. I can't even really describe it. Please do yourself a favor and ride this ride. And then our second can't miss attraction, which I want to stress is significantly less can't miss than Guardians, but it's still something I do every single time I'm in EPCOT. That's Touch Track. It's a lot of fun. It's kind of a thrill ride. It's not exactly a roller coaster, but there's still thrill elements to it where you're kind of swerving and going really fast and, speeding up, slowing down, etc. It's a fun time. The whole mechanics behind building your own car and everything like that are broken every single time, which is a little bit off-putting, but the ride itself is still a lot of fun.
The only attraction to skip that we have for EPCOT is the Seas with Nemo and Friends. This ride is a fairly new ride that just feels very outdated.
Yeah, the whole like projection system where you're supposed to be going through the EAC, the East Atlantic Current, is that, or East Australian Current, some kind of current. They have a series of projectors projecting it in front of you, but they don't line up.
It's like at one point, like, Crush's head is here and his body's down here.
Right, or like he gets cut off, right? So like he's like super squished, or he's like super spread out. Like his head's here and his head's also here.
Yeah.
Which is kind of comical, but like not in an intentional way, obviously.
Yeah, it's definitely not supposed to be like that.
Yeah, it's slow, it's boring, it's outdated, it doesn't work right, and it's just not something I feel like I need to do. If you haven't done it before, sure, give it a try. It's not like there's a long wait for it. But if you have...
It's okay to skip.
Yeah. On the flip side, though, for our underappreciated attractions, we have what I call, hey, go look at some fish. Essentially, at the seas, in addition to that ride, there are also, like, there's, like, a legitimate, like, aquarium section where they have fish tanks. They have, like, one big tank that has, like, sea turtles and, like, all sorts of different stuff in there. And then they have a bunch of, like, smaller tanks that have, like, seahorses and, you know, little fish that look like Dory. What are those called? Blue somethings?
I don't know. And then they also have clownfish. I feel like that would be weird if they didn't.
Yeah, but yeah, go look at some fish while you're there. Aquariums are cool. And then our second underappreciated attraction at EPCOT is Living with the Land. It's not super exciting. It's not super, like, fast-paced, like, action type ride, right? It's relaxing. And they take you through, like, a little tour of the greenhouses that they have there, where they grow fruits and vegetables and stuff. And they also take you through their fish tanks. We just talked about fish, but these are fish for eating, not for looking at. They have, like, the whole aquaponics system. They explain to you, like, how they raise the fish and whatnot. Really cool. Really enjoy it, especially if you're there during Christmas time. I think if you're there during Christmas time, it elevates this from, you know, just an underappreciated attraction to a can't-miss attraction, because they kind of go all out decorating those greenhouses for Christmas. They have the Christmas lights on all the different trees and plants. And especially if you're there during night when it's dark and you can really see everything light up, it's really, really cool.
We were there during the day at Christmas time, and then Tommy made us ride it again at night because he just thought it would be way cooler.
And it was. I was right, as usual. So, if you're there during Christmas, 100% can't miss. If you're there any other time of the year, still really cool. Still worth doing. We do have 2 attraction warnings. We like to kind of give these warnings as a heads up to anyone that either might be traveling with young children that could be scared by certain attractions, or if they experience motion sickness from certain types of movement. The first of those warnings that we have is actually for Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. If spinning is something that you really can't handle, maybe you might want to consider not riding. I would really only recommend sitting it out if you have, like, severe motion sickness. If you have mild motion sickness, give it a shot, because it is worth it if you can handle it. And it's worth experimenting to see if you can handle it or not. But if you have, like, really severe motion sickness, it probably will get you. It doesn't, like, spin like, you know, like this, right? It's not like the teacups. But there is some spinning, and there are also some, like, screens that have moving images going on while you're also moving. So if you know that type of thing gets to you, it's worth, you know, considering whether you should or shouldn't ride it. If you think you might be able to handle it, though, I recommend giving it a shot.
The other attraction warning that we have is for Mission Space. It uses a spinning motion to create G-force to make it feel like you are going into space. It is known to make a lot of people motion sick.
It's the only ride on Disney property where there are barf bags continually just present in the ride, just in case. So yeah, definitely if you have motion sickness of any kind, of any level of severity, I probably would think about setting this one out. If you clicked on this video because you are looking for Genie Plus suggestions, you know, either suggestions for which attractions you should book a Genie Plus reservation for, or, you know, suggestions about how to use Genie Plus, anything like that, Unfortunately, you are not going to find it here because we do not believe Genie Plus is worth it ever, period. It's, I think, up to $25 a person right now. It changes periodically based on how crowded the parks are or whatever. There is no need to spend that money. There are not a lot of attractions at Epcot, and even if there were, none of the attractions have like long waits anyway. Like Frozen, Remy's, and Test Track can maybe get up to an hour. Everything else is like 20 minutes or less. There's just no point. You can get everything done very, very easily at Epcot. If you've seen our video about how to do every attraction in a park without Genie Plus, you'll know that it is very, very doable to do everything that you want to do without spending that extra money. Now, the virtual queue, on the other hand, is something you definitely need to know how to utilize and how to book on your phone. It's easy to join the virtual queue. On the homepage of the app, there is an option to do it. What you're going to want to do is get up at 7 a.m. the day that you plan to go to Epcot, hit that Join Virtual Queue button, and join the virtual queue for Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. You want to hit it the second the clock hits 7 o'clock to make sure you get a boarding time. If you miss out, don't worry. There is another opportunity at 1 p.m. It's either 1 or 2, but I think it's 1 p.m. You have the opportunity to join again. And this is only for people that did not get it the first time, and people that are in the park. So if you missed out on it the first time, if you're in the park, you have a pretty good chance of getting it the second time. Same process. As soon as it hits 1 p.m., hit join, and you should be good to go. There is also the opportunity if you are staying at a deluxe resort. They have, for those extended evening hours, they open the virtual queue back up, even if you've ridden it already. So at 6 p.m., if you are staying in a deluxe resort, which is any of these resorts that are currently on the screen right now, you have the opportunity to join the virtual queue again and ride it again during those extended evening hours. So that's something to be aware of. If you are not staying at a deluxe resort, the only way you can ride it twice in the same day is to purchase an individual lightning lane. When we were at Epcot in December, this is what we did. I think it was like $14 a person at that time. Again, price fluctuates. But this is way more worth it than Genie Plus, in my opinion, right? Because it's not just, oh, you get to save 10 minutes of waiting in line. You get to ride it a second time when normally you wouldn't be able to, and it's the best ride in the park. So if you ride it once, you love it, you want to ride it again, that is the only way to ride it more than once in one day, is to purchase an individual lightning lane for it.
The only live show at Epcot that has a scheduled showtime is Epcot Forever, the fireworks show at the end of the night, and that's at 9 p.m. And then they also have live performers through the countries in World Showcase, and those are just at different parts during the day. You can check your My Disney Experience app to see when those showtimes are listed for when you will be there. Also, Impressions de France and Beauty and the Beast sing-along happen in the same theater in France, so you want to be aware of when one is happening and when the other is happening, so you don't see the same show twice in one day if you don't want to.
Yeah, when they changed that, I think, because when we were there, it switched at like halfway through the day, like 3 p.m. or something, and we just checked yesterday, and right now they have some weird scheduling going on where it's like in the early morning it's one,
it's
and
like
then
9 to 9:30.
Yeah, and then it's the other, and then it switches back at night or something. So just check both of those if you're interested in one and not the other, or if you want to do both of them. Check on the day that you're going, and it should give you the information about, when each one is being played in that theater. Of course, like any Disney park, there are plenty of opportunities to meet Disney characters at Epcot. You can meet Anna, Elsa, you can meet Pooh, you can meet Mickey and Minnie, of course, Donald Duck, Pluto, a lot of the princesses too, Jasmine, Aurora, Snow White, I think, maybe. All the information about when and where you can meet these characters can be found on the My Disney Experience app. Go to the characters section and just click on whatever character you want to see. It'll let you know where they're going to be that day and what times.
At Epcot, there's a lot of different festivals that happen throughout the year. So for January and February, you have Festival of the Arts. Then starting at the beginning of March and through the end of spring, you'll have the Flower and Garden Festival. Then there's a little bit of a break when Flower and Garden ends and before Food and Wine starts. So that's the third festival of the year, is Food and Wine. And then that lasts until about the end of October, and then EPCOT transitions into Festival of the Holidays for November and December. All 4 of these festivals change the park drastically.
Depending on what festival's going on, or if any festival's going on, the decor can change throughout the park. And then also what you can do can change throughout the park. There are different events and things that you can do depending on what festival's going on. Different food and drinks, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So yeah, make sure you check up on when you're going and if there will be a festival going on at that time. And then you can see what additional activities and events you can do because of that festival. There are also some special events and tours that are available year-round, regardless of festival, or if there's even a festival going on. One of these is the ability to scuba dive in the big aquarium fish tank over at the Seas. It's called Dive Quest. It costs $219 per person. And you must be scuba certified, and you must be able to prove on the spot that you are scuba certified. So you have to bring, I don't know what that entails. I feel like
it's a piece of paper.
Yeah,
it's you are scuba certified.
Yeah, whatever certification documents that you have, bring those with you because you need to prove it or they won't let you do it. So if you've ever been to Disney and you've seen people scuba diving in that fish tank, that's actually what it is. I always thought it was people that worked there.
Yeah, I did too.
It's guests that paid $219 to scuba dive for fun in that tank. Similarly, there is another experience over at the Seas that you can do. For $199, you can swim with the dolphins. You don't need to be scuba certified for that one. But yeah, another cool experience you can do. And then the final annual kind of year-round tour is called Behind the Seeds. It's $35 a person, and it's the walking tour of the greenhouses in the land. They kind of teach you about how, what their different growing techniques are. They teach you about the aquaponics, I think, also with the fish. They go into more detail than what you get to experience just on the Living with the Ride attraction. Living with the Land ride is what I meant.
I love Living with the Ride land.
If you're interested in any of these events or tours, if you'd like to book them or check availability, head to the events and tours section of the My Disney Experience app, and that's where you can do all of that. It is time to talk about the most discussed topic at EPCOT, the food and the drinks. We're going to start off with snacks, and it's important to keep in mind that just like, the decorations and just like the theming and the different activities that may be available to you, the food and drinks also change drastically throughout the year depending on what festival might be going on. We're going to try to give you some suggestions for snacks that are available year-round. In Canada, they have maple popcorn, which is very popular. I don't like popcorn that much, but people that do like popcorn like the maple popcorn quite a bit.
You know what I've heard?
What?
People actually prefer the caramel popcorn from Germany.
Well, if you like popcorn, you can compare either maple in Canada or caramel, not caramel, caramel in Germany. In Germany, they have big pretzels. I used to love these pretzels, although last time we were there, it was kind of disappointing. It was stale, which made me pretty sad because when they're not stale, they are very, very, very good. They're different from the Mickey pretzels that you can get anywhere. They taste a lot better.
What are they called? Bulgarian pretzels?
No, but close enough. In Mexico, you can get chips and guacamole. The guacamole is pretty good. I've had better, but it is way, way better than something you would get at a grocery store, for example. In France, they have a whole pastry shop and then also a whole ice cream shop. I have actually never been to the pastry shop because I don't really like sweet foods that much, I guess. But I've heard very good things about it. And the ice cream shop as well. So if you're looking for something sweet, head over to France. And then my one big snack recommendation for the Flower and Garden Festival specifically, they have corn, grilled corn with a garlic spread on it, and it is fantastic. But yeah, check out, there's going to be all sorts of unique, different snacks depending on if a festival's going on when you're there. So just kind of walk around, see what you can find, get a bite of this, bite of that, try some things. I'm sure most of it's pretty good.
For quick service dining in EPCOT, we recommend La Cantina de San Angel, which is the quick service dining in Mexico. They have tacos, empanadas, margaritas, chips and guac.
It's all good stuff.
All of it's really good. In World Celebration, there's Connections Cafe, which is new within the past year, right?
Yeah, it's massive. Well, technically, Connections Cafe is just like the Starbucks. Connections Eatery
yes.
is the quick service restaurant. It's just kind of like the main, like, central, like, here's where you go to get generic food kind of thing. So
they have pizza, chicken tenders,
right, like burgers, stuff like that. If you have kids with you, it might be a good place to, get some lunch or something. It's also central. It's like a central location, kind of in the middle of the park, so it's convenient. But there are definitely better food options out there. I'd even prefer Sunshine.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say next. So Sunshine Seasons is at the Land Pavilion. When you go downstairs, it's that main food area there. And
then, of course, you can make a quick service type meal out of a bunch of small plates. A lot of the food that they have during the festivals are small plates, right? Like not even appetizer sized portions. Like, like 2 or 3 little pieces of something or whatever. So if you get a couple of those, you could make a meal out of that. So that's definitely something I would recommend trying.
That way you get like a wide variety of the different things that EPCOT has available.
Yeah. If you're looking for table service dining, EPCOT definitely has the most options out of any of the parks, and the most good options out of any of the parks. Most of the countries in the World Showcase have at least one table service restaurant, and there are also table service restaurants in the kind of what used to be called Future World section of the park as well. Coral Reef Restaurant is a personal favorite of ours. It's pretty cool because you can see the fish tank in the Seas Pavilion from the restaurant. So you can kind of watch the fish as you eat a fish. Not the same fish, but yeah.
Hopefully. When we went our first time, I got the mahi-mahi, and the rice that came with it will forever be the best rice I've ever eaten in my life. It was so good.
Yeah, all the food they have there is pretty solid, and it's not super expensive either. It's like a moderately priced table service restaurant. Speaking of moderately priced table service restaurants, you have a bunch of options in the World Showcase, but I think the 3 favorites of ours, or 3 we would be most likely to recommend, would be Via Napoli, Chefs de France, and San Angel Inn, the one that's inside of Mexico. They all have really solid food. Via Napoli was like a go-to when I was younger. It's, moderately priced, decent Italian food. You could kind of say the same. They're all kind of like generic food of that country, but they're all pretty solid, right? It's not top of the line quality, but you're not paying top of the line prices. I think like Nine Dragons in China would also fall into this category as well.
I would agree.
But I would pick probably one of the first 3, either France, Italy, or Mexico over China, personally. If you're trying to spend a little bit more money, Le Cellier Steakhouse in Canada is very, very good. I've been there a couple times. It was fantastic every time that I've been. You've never been?
No, every time you talk about one that you're like, it's so good. Like, you were talking about Via Napoli, and I'm like, I've never been there. And then you talk about this one, and I've never been there.
It's good. It's a steakhouse. It's what you'd expect from a steakhouse. They have good steak. They have probably like chicken and stuff if you don't like steak, but I don't know why you wouldn't get steak if you're going to a steakhouse.
Well, it's probably why I've never been there.
It is more on the expensive side, though. Some of these steaks are like $50, $60, $70 a piece, so keep that in mind.
Space 220 is also on the pricier side of table service restaurants that we've been talking about. Personally, we have never been, but from everything I've heard, the experience is amazing. The food is just okay.
Yeah, it's like the whole idea of it is that you are in space, right? And they have like screens and stuff around you that make it feel like that. It's also a fixed price sort of deal. For dinner, it's $79 a person, and for lunch, it's $55 a person. So again, definitely on the pricier side. But if you really want to overpay for a single meal, you're going to want to go to Monsieur Paul in France. It is, ready for this? $195 per person for one meal.
$199.
No, $195.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're saving you those $4.
Thank you.
$195. And this is new. It didn't used to be like this. I've actually eaten there before they changed to the fixed price menu. It was still expensive, but it wasn't that expensive. $195 per person. To its credit, though, you do get a lot of food and drink for your money. It's not just $195, here's an entree and get out of here. They start you off with what do they call it? Like a starter cocktail or something? A starter cocktail. Then you get a choice of like 2 or 3 different appetizers. I'm cheating a little bit here because I can't memorize all this because it's a lot of different food. Then that is followed with a fish course. So you get to choose between a couple different fish options. Then there's some sort of like palate cleanser. I think it's like
It's a sorbet.
Like a brandy sorbet or something like that.
Was it pear brand? Or
I don't know.
Know.
And then after that, there's a whole meat course. So you get a fish course and a meat course. And you get to choose between a couple different options there as well. Then after the meat course, you get cheese. Then after cheese, a dessert. And then after a dessert, a digestive cocktail, which I am not pronouncing correctly, I'm aware. But it's like a cocktail or a drink that you finish your meal with. So if you want a dining extravaganza and you have $195 to spare,
do it. Report back.
Yeah, let me know how it went. Let me know how it goes, because I don't think I will ever be able to bring myself to spend that much money on a single meal. And those aren't even all of the options in Epcot. In our previous 2 videos, we went through like every single table service dining option in the whole park because there were only like 3 or 4 of them. Epcot's got a whole lot of them. There's also, like, if you want hibachi, there's a whole hibachi dining over in Japan. Morocco has a sit-down restaurant as well. China, like we talked about earlier, the one in Morocco. Spice Road, yeah. Somehow I skipped over Garden Grill. I was going to talk about Garden... All right, I'll talk about Garden Grill. Garden Grill is in the land. It's cool because the restaurant rotates while you're eating there. It's also a character dining. And it's family style. So they bring food to the table, you eat it, you want more, they'll bring you more. It's, I think, $55 per adult and $36 per child between the ages of 3 and 9, if I remember correctly. It's solid. I used to like it a lot. But again, the same concept applies for this character dining as every other character dining. You are probably paying more than what the food itself is worth because you're paying for the characters to be there. So keep that in mind. And of course, we have to talk about drinks. Drinks and Epcot kind of go together. Everyone's talking about like drinking around the world or whatever. So here are some of our favorite drinks. And we also do want to mention, just like snacks, these change all the time. There are specific drinks that are there year round, but then there's also a whole bunch of specialty drinks that are festival dependent. So depending on what festival's going on, there will be a whole lot of different drink options that won't be available in a couple months or weren't available a couple months previously. So, yeah, you're going to have a whole lot of options that we probably don't even get to discuss because we don't know what's going to be there in a couple months from now.
They're always making new drinks.
Right, there's always new things out there. So that's important to keep in mind. But as far as constants, Kenzie, start us off.
The margaritas in Mexico.
The frozen ones.
Oh, yes, frozen, obviously. One thing about me is I would prefer my drink to be frozen.
The frozen mango margarita, I think, is the best, but they're frequently out of that one.
No, it's like running, it's mixing. There's a sign on it.
No mango. We ran into that like a lot.
Yes.
No mango. The strawberry and the lime ones are pretty good too.
The strawberry and the lime mixed together is pretty good.
Yeah. The mango is the best, I would say, though.
Oh, yeah.
And then also in Mexico, if you go inside the pyramid or whatever, there is a tequila bar. And you can get shots of tequila there, or you can get a whole bunch of different types of margaritas there. Like they have a whole big menu. Definitely a fun place to check out if you enjoy tequila. There are a lot of beer options throughout the different countries, but I think the most interesting is the grapefruit beer that they have in Germany. It's not something that's like specific to Epcot. Like you can get this in a bottle at the store probably, but it's pretty solid. And then, Kenzie, what is your absolute favorite drink?
My favorite drink is the orange slush in France.
It's mine also.
It's so good.
It's not even that like crazy of a drink.
It's like 4 ingredients.
Right.
One of them is like orange juice.
Yeah. It's literally just like an orange slushy, but it tastes creamy too. It has a creamy flavor to it, even though none of the ingredients
exactly. And
are creamy.
It's like, it tastes like orange and cream, and I think that's why I like it so much. But during Festival of the Holidays, France also has a hot chocolate martini that is also very good. It's like frozen hot chocolate. It's really good.
They also have, they have a whole bunch of different martinis for the different festivals at the place that's like across the street from where the orange slush is.
Yeah, and then if you go to the ice cream shop in like the back of France, they also have like an ice cream martini.
I do want to mention, and I don't know how relevant this will be for the future, but there is a little stand in America that has different drinks depending on whatever festival's going on. I've had 2 different drinks there, and they were both very good. During Flower and Garden, what was that, 2022?
Yeah.
They had a pink lemonade with blackberry moonshine that was really good. And then when we were there for Festival of the Holidays, December 2022, they had an apple pie, a frozen like apple pie drink with some sort of apple pie moonshine or something in it, which was also very, very good. So I don't know if they're going to continue to have drinks in that vein for the foreseeable future that just kind of rotate depending on the festival or not. But if they do, try those. I like those quite a bit. And of course, there's plenty of other options to pick from. Every country has a whole bunch of different drinks to choose from. And they make sense, right? You can get wine in Italy, you can get sake in Japan, you can get beer in Germany, or in Canada, or in the United States, or in the UK. So whatever you like to drink, whatever type of drink you like to drink, there will be something for you in at least a couple of the countries. So you don't need to necessarily go in with a plan. These are our recommendations. These are things we like a lot. But I'm sure if you just keep trying things that sound good, you'll find things that you like a lot also.
You should definitely try the orange slush, though.
100%.
It's so good. In Epcot, the shopping experiences vary depending on which country you're in or which festival is going on. There are different festival booths that have different art set up or like different Disney merch that is specific to the festival that is currently going on.
Festival of the Arts, for example, you can buy like paintings and stuff like everywhere throughout the World Showcase.
There's like paintings. There's also like jewelry that you can buy, I think. For each country, they have their own like unique shopping experiences that sell merchandise for those countries. Like I know in Japan is like the biggest one that like sticks out in my mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have all sorts of like anime stuff, they have Pokemon stuff, they have like Japanese candy and snacks and stuff, and they have similar things for all the other countries as well, like products from that country, which is pretty cool.
There's also Creations Shop, which is like the main Disney merchandise shopping center in Epcot.
Now, normally we would end this video with a route suggestion related to our video on how to do every attraction at a Disney park in one day without Genie Plus. I will leave a link to that video in the description. If you do want to kind of maximize your day, there are some good tips in there. However, I am not going to give specific route suggestions for Epcot, and the reason is it's almost impossible to not get every attraction done in one day at Epcot. There's not, at least on the attraction side, right? Things that are listed as attractions, stuff like rides and shows and things like that. There are not a lot of them, and they don't typically have long waits, so it's easy to get them done. However, just kind of bouncing between those things, you're not getting the most out of the park. You're almost doing a disservice to the park because a lot of the enjoyment of the park is walking around the World Showcase. It's trying different foods and drinks. It's, taking in the theming of the different countries. It's, even doing some shopping.
Yeah, enjoying the scenery that's around you.
Right. So for Epcot, we are not going to give route suggestions.
Except that if you're going to do a World Showcase, you should start in Mexico, not Canada.
What I will say is once Guardians of the Galaxy is no longer on the virtual queue system, that will probably be a pretty long wait. However, it's pretty easy to combat that. Literally just hop in line 5 minutes before the park closes and you'll be fine, right? You can stay in that line until you're able to ride. They're not going to kick you out of line. So Yeah, that's kind of the only suggestion I would give for routing for Epcot. Other than that, don't worry about it too much. Take in the scenery, take in the theming, try some different foods, and get more out of the experience than just going on all of the rides, because there's so much more to do there. That's all we have for you. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you enjoyed this video, if you found it helpful, leave a like or maybe consider subscribing. We do have 2 other park guides currently on the channel for Hollywood Studios and for Animal Kingdom. Magic Kingdom Park Guide will be coming soon. And we also do fun stuff here. We do trivia, games, we tell stories from when we were both cast members. So if you're interested in that or any other Disney content, hit that subscribe button. We'd really appreciate it. Thanks everyone. Leave a comment, let us know what you think, and we will see you in the next video.
Bye.
Goodbye.